folks, David Watts with another Luminar Neptune video showing you a few ways I make some edits to photos and try to improve them just a bit. Don't claim to be an expert. My hope is to show you a few things I do. You might learn some things not to do. You may take what I offer and make it better, and that's my hope. Here's an image I've always liked. I took down in Florida at the Disney, whatever it's called, the animal park, the animal kingdom down there. One of the gorillas in the gorilla exhibit, imposing figure, sitting there posing quite nicely. Of course, I couldn't get any closer, so this is the closest I could get. And I always liked the image, but it just lacked a certain something, and maybe we can make it better. And in particular, I want to show you how I might use the high key filter to do something in particular to this video. Let's do a couple of the basic things that I always like to do. I always like the AI filter. It seems to do a nice job in many cases. Let's add a little bit of structure, and you might notice what that did immediately to the hair. Brought out some of those details. Maybe we added a little too much, but that's seasoning to your taste. A little bit of clarity. And I might even add another filter that I don't use a lot, which is the foliage enhancer. And again, you'll need to season to taste, so to speak. But this can just make the foliage pop a little better, and you can choose the hue of it all the way to something that probably looks a little fake, backing it off to something that might be a bit more realistic. So right away, I think pretty quickly, we've made an improvement. It's a little washed out as a raw file. That's not too unusual. A little better detail, but it's still missing something. And here's an approach I think can help. What we need to do is add a new layer, and I like to do that when I'm trying something different and might want to back it out all by itself if it doesn't work. So I'm going to add a new adjustment layer. And in this adjustment layer, let's use the high key filter. And actually, let's zoom into 100% and let's crank that filter way up. And you'll say, especially if we back out, wow, that did not help. And you're right. But it did do something to the eyes. And I think that's what's been missing this picture with animals, with people. It's good to see the eyes. You always like to see the eyes if at all possible. Let's turn that layer off. And you'll notice it's just dark and we just don't have much eye detail in there. But with this high key filter, we've got some eye detail, but it doesn't belong in the whole image. It's just too much. So adding that layer with that high key filter and being kind of aggressive with it, then let's use the brush to mask the area where we want that filter to be, and only that area we want the filter to be. We're going to bring our brush size way down. Let's turn the opacity pretty much all the way up because we want a fairly strong usage of this, I think. I'm still going to, that's about as small as the brush gets, I think. And let's just paint a little bit over those eyes. And you'll see that we're going to bring out some real visibility to the eyes that we just didn't have before. And you'll notice we might overdo it, but we can back that out. One way to check this, and you'll say that's a little freaky at first, is to show the mask. You'll see, and that makes kind of a freaky image, but that shows you where we've painted and where that effect, this high key effect, is going to be. You might notice it looks like we went a little too far with it, and so this will allow us to back that off down here. We want the area around the eyes to be dark. It's just kind of the eye itself we want to be brighter. So anyway, we go back to editing the full image. We back it out, and let's compare. Here's where we started, and here's where we are at the moment. And just focus on those eyes for a second. Kind of dark, kind of murky, kind of hidden back in there in the shadows, so to speak. But now, much more, and we feel like this is a creature that's got eyes. He's not looking at us, but we can see his eyes. The other thing I might do with this is crop it a bit aggressively, because the interesting thing here is not all the brush and all the trees behind the animal, but the interesting thing is the gorilla himself. So preserving our original aspect ratio, let's see what we can do here. And if we at least temporarily respect the rule of thirds and see if that works for us, and remembering that we're welcome to break that quote rule if we want to. Maybe position the cropping about like this. So we're kind of tight. We're focusing on what really matters, but we've given him a little breathing room. He's looking to the left. Let's give him a little room to look, and let's apply that. And now, again, here's where we started, and here's where we are now. And the eyes certainly pop a lot more. There are other things you might do or approach differently, but that's one approach to give a little more life into this kind of picture that may have real potential. Anyway, I hope that helps just a bit. If you like the videos, give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you want more of this kind of thing. I'm sure some of these techniques work no matter what, Lightroom or Photoshop or Affinity. I've used Affinity as well. I think Luminar is pretty good at getting the results you're looking for as fast as possible. And Affinity is great too, but tends to take me just a little longer. Anyway, I hope you like these videos with Luminar, and tell me if you like more. Give me feedback, what's good, what's bad, what you don't like. See ya. Take care.